Hi, welcome to the pod with Nicole
and Heidi.
Thanks for taking a seat with us today.
This is a safe space for you to join in on our real-life, everyday conversations. We often find ourselves discussing women in sport, Paralympic sport, sitting volleyball, so we decided to start a podcast.
Today's episode is on us. Episode 1.
Wow.
We're here. We did it.
It's a miracle.
I know. Well, it's not. We've done a lot of work. We've been researching and discovering how to do this.
I've become a video editor and a graphic designer.
Crushing it.
Yeah.
And I'm just here for the ride.
I don't know the writing. That's hard.
I mean, it's all hard, but it's exciting and it's fun, and we're by no means experts. If anyone out there has any tips, if anyone wants to chat with us about podcasting, come on over.
Please.
But we hope that you enjoy the things that we have to talk about. But we're always open to feedback, and today is really just about us, so I feel like we can't do it wrong.
There's nothing wrong. There's no wrong answer.
Here's hoping.
Great.
All right, Heidi, you're up first. Tell me a bit about yourself. Tell us a bit about yourself. What is it like to be you?
I'm like, where do I start? Should I Cole's notes? No. I'm 29 years old. I'm from a small town in Alberta called Neerlandia. It sounds like Narnia. Literally everybody says
Majestical.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. I'm very close with my parents. And my dad's definitely a little more sporty than my mom. I think that's where I get it from. And I played sports growing up. I would always rather be throwing a ball than like playing with Barbies. I would rather be like playing with cats, like in my stroller, instead of like actually playing with dolls. My mom would like
playing with cats. Not me.
Yeah, there's photo proof of that. Yeah, so just kind of like all sports. Not all sports. No, never soccer. I shouldn't say all sports, but
fair.
Volleyball, basketball, badminton, softball. Those are kind of the mains. That's really it. Volleyball is also like the main sport like in my hometown. I feel like every like small town has like
every town
their thing. Like
Canada.
That was our thing. So volleyball was our thing. And like I said, I'm an only child, but my mom, her sister, her identical twin, has 5 kids, and they're basically kind of like my siblings growing up. We grew up like a mile apart, so I just like watched them playing volleyball and always like knew that's what I wanted to do, and like the sport I wanted to play.
Which is kind of cool. I think I like overlook that part of you, is like you already played volleyball. I know that, but that like that's what you wanted to do and who you wanted to be. But it is who you are now, just in a very different version.
What if I could tell myself, my 10-year-old self, that like that's...
You'd be scared.
I'd be scared. I'd be like, I don't want to.
Right?
Do that.
But hope that's why we're doing this. Pulling on the cord already. Sorry, everybody.
Plugged in.
All right. Now what does it look
that's
like
my
to be
childhood.
You now? Yeah. She goes deep to her childhood. I'm like, I would have skipped over all that.
True Heidi style.
Where is my trauma from?
So then I got cancer.
Yeah, there we go.
I never played volleyball like super competitively, and my high school team just wanted to keep playing all year, so we just made a club team just so we could play more.
Oh, okay.
That's who I played club with, just the girls I played high school with, just because we loved it. We were trash, like Div 3, like won a bronze medal, I think, once. Like, it was like the fucking biggest deal ever.
I think we were Div 2 and won once. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was, just
living bronze since you were...
I don't know if I ever won a gold medal. So
only our teammates will understand that one. Third place, always.
Third place. We'll get there.
We will.
Yeah, and then I thought I had shin splints in my grade 11 year playing club, probably like April-ish. And I started growing like a bump, which turned into a tumor on my left shin. And so stupid. I was like, oh, that'll go away. Like, that's weird. What is that? That'll just
like once you knew it was cancer.
No, once I like was looking at it and it became like painful.
You could see it.
And like probably like 2/3 the size of my palm.
I remember when you told me that. I was like, excuse me? Like, what do you mean? No, just a baseball on my shin.
Has your pinky now? No, like
it'll go away.
Like
just rub it off.
That's done.
Keep going. Yeah.
Walk it off, like jump it off, I guess. Like, I don't know.
I'm good.
And was like, I should probably go to the doctor. Like, did I even tell my parents? Did I like hide it? Like, I remember avoiding like walking close to things because it was like so painful.
Just overnight or like over time you noticed it?
between like, just say mid-April and like July, like by early July, I was like, this is like, I'm in like excruciating pain. I was like, it's getting bigger, so I have to do something about it.
Yeah.
And then was like, I need to go to emergency. Went to Emerge, probably with my mom, and did an x-ray there and referred me to an orthopedic surgeon at the Stollery. And I was 16 at the time. And when you're 17, you're in adult world in healthcare. So this was like a couple months before I turned 17. So I went to the Stollery, got referred to
which is
a
our
surgeon,
children's hospital.
did some scans, did a biopsy, did like a full body workup, took a couple weeks for the results to come back. I didn't know this, but after the surgery, he basically told my parents that I had cancer. Like he knew from looking at my tumor, but I waited for the pathology to come back and then came back in for the appointment. And it was like the weekend of the first, like the alumni volleyball tournament in Barhead's like a huge deal, first weekend of the semester. Like you kind of play mixed teams and play against alumni teams. And I had an appointment on that Friday and got diagnosed and was like,
oh my gosh,
went back to watch the tournament and was like, yeah, I have cancer, like it's gonna be totally fine. And was like telling, I can like see myself in the hallway.
What grade were you in? 10?
11. No, sorry, that was the beginning of my grade 12 year. Then, yeah, that was like,
okay,
because I went to the hospital in July, and then by September 9th was my diagnosis date, 2011. And I can literally like see myself in the hallway, like Mr. Becker, Mr. Callahoon, like I can see myself telling people, like it was like, gosh, the most like nonchalant thing I've ever said. They didn't use the language of like stages with me. They didn't like say anything. They just were like, you're gonna have to do chemo and likely have surgery, and also you have masses on your right lung, so you're gonna have to do a lung thoracotomy because it's already on your lungs. Like that's a huge deal.
That's terrifying. So and if you heard that like now, I think you'd 16,
I'd be like
far less optimistic.
Oh yeah,
because I remember asking you
who have had the same cancer and didn't at the beginning even ever have lung mets and have in relapse like had it on their organ. So I'm extremely fortunate to be alive, which I didn't think of right. I asked you that. You're like, no, I never thought I was gonna die. Truly, never. My parents did. Most people probably did. Like, kind of brushed off like talking about it because it really wasn't. Like, it was definitely the hardest thing I've ever done, but I never.
It's a huge deal.
Really was like, this is the end of my life. I was like, this is just a really hard 11 months.
Which is like such an incredible attitude to have. And I think listeners are probably like, whoa, one, surprised to hear that. But knowing you and knowing your outlook on life, I'm honestly not surprised, especially like a younger version of you. Like that's incredible. And I think it probably helped with your journey and with your healing and through everything. But I'm not sure, like, once you got into, you can tell the story, but what happens next rather than me telling everyone.
Dive into it really quick. I had major lung surgery, end of September, did 12 weeks of chemo, and the tumor on my leg didn't shrink. So they recommended amputation as the option for the highest quality of life. I met with a different orthopedic surgeon.
Oh, a different one.
Not the first person.
Yeah. Okay.
And he said I could do limb salvage and it would look like a lot of metal and it would be painful and would be essentially a lower quality of life and a higher likelihood the cancer would come back. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, I have to do this again? Like, no.
Which is also such a brave decision. Like, knowing the people we know in parasport and the journeys that they've had, you're like, no, right away, amputation.
Yeah. And he went even a little bit more with my clearance of my bone. Like, it's shorter than what it had to be. He just made that decision to do the amputation, which sucks if you know anything about prosthetics. Like, having more bone is better. But I mean, I'm alive, so I really have nothing to complain about. And then I had my amputation December 12th and did chemo all the way until August. And the new year was definitely like the harder part. I mean, I was if you quote unquote just lose your leg, you're probably walking in 6 weeks, maybe 2 months ish. But I didn't even get fit for socket for 3 months, and then walked with crutches for like months.
I don't think I knew that like part.
10 months
because later, your bone is compromised.
Because your healing is just slower.
Okay.
You're on chemo. Your body's
chemo.
Like,
okay.
After my biopsy, right before I had lung surgery, I played in like my last high school tournament, and I wasn't allowed to jump because I had staples in my shin and a tumor. But I was allowed to play back row, so I like was at the Savile. It was like our last tournament. I don't know who we were playing, and I can just like see myself getting subbed in. Like my last serve, I played across the back row, and like that's the last time I ever played indoor. And and I just, when I lost my leg, I was like, that's it. I'll just like never play volleyball again. I was like,
yeah, see you later.
See you never.
Yeah, true.
Never was like, I want to play with prosthetic. Like if I couldn't play the way that I like wanted, I just was like, it was like easier to not.
Yeah, of course. And
like people have different stories and like, I'll do anything to get back. I was like, no, I can't even like think. I could barely even like
look at a volleyball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like right when I was diagnosed, I went to watch that tournament because I was like, oh, I'll play. Like, yeah, I knew I would play one more tournament, but like after I like lost my, like I couldn't even like go.
And did you know much about sitting volleyball? Like, did you know? And so like there was no hope for more, right? Or for a different version.
No, but like I met Austin Hinchy like on our men's team before I lost my leg.
But like what women's sitting didn't start in Canada.
But he would have known what sitting volleyball was, but I don't ever remember like talking to him about it. Like we probably talked about it and I just forgot. But
or you're like,
he was also playing university, so it's kind of focused more on you can live your life like you can be able with, you can have a high quality of life with a prosthetic, and that just was huge for me. I had no concept of like a young person with a disability, like at all. Right. And then I met Jolanne in January of my treatment, and I have absolutely zero recollection. So many drugs, so much chemo. Like I don't remember.
Jolanne is our libero on our team for everyone that's listening. Yeah. So she is the connection to our team and our sport for a lot of people.
Seriously. Yeah. So she had the same cancer as me as a child, is also from the outskirts of Edmonton. So she did her treatment at the Stollery. And when she was cancer free, she volunteered and did like a pizza night. So she came every like month and just picked up pizza, brought it, and sat and like talked to parents. So I hate pizza, and I was doing chemotherapy. So
said no one ever, just Heidi.
My mom was like, I'm hungry, so I'm gonna go eat pizza. And she was like, yeah, I'm just here with my daughter who lost her leg. Jolanne like literally like sprints.
She's like,
I'm coming.
A potential.
I found her.
She knows what volleyball is. Let's go. Welcome to how we recruit.
Yeah. So she might have even been wearing a Volleyball Canada shirt for like all maybe. I know. And I was like, I don't want to talk to you, probably.
Amazing.
She'll tell you that I was not very kind.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Or like,
Joe,
not mean, but maybe like
come
not
tell
receptive.
us.
Tell me. She like skirts around it. I'm like, it's not personal. Like,
it's because she's nice.
Thought I'd never play volleyball again. Like, what's this weird sport? I did all my chemo, was done August 2012, which was almost a year after I was diagnosed. It was literally like someone hit pause on my life for 1 year. Hit play again, and then I went and did grade 13. Like I participated in grad with my friends. They had all graduated, were starting university, and I just went back to like grade 13 and just like did the courses I needed. Fun fact, I never did English 30, and my teacher just gave me like an 85.
And here she is, grammar police now.
Yeah, that's me.
It all worked out in the end.
So, and then I joined the team.
I was gonna say, let's fast forward to now. What does it look like to be Heidi now? Just for everyone listening, we are going to do a whole episode on what is sitting volleyball, and we will discuss Heidi's intro, my intro to sitting volleyball. We'll talk a little bit about it on this episode as well, but we could talk about that forever. And that's kind of why we want to do this podcast. But I think Heidi's already highlighted quite a bit around, like you didn't know about sitting volleyball.
Yeah.
You didn't think there was more. And that's exactly why we want this podcast to exist. And for young girls, boys even listening to this that have a disability in Canada, abroad, like there is Paralympic sport. So let's fast track now.
What does it look like to be me? I am a political science student studying to get my BA and major in poli-sci, minor in psychology, with the hopes of working in sport policy. Maybe do my master's, maybe not. We'll see.
Student for life.
Student forever.
I'm all about that.
Otherwise I train.
Almost full-time athlete. Yeah. What else? What have you done as a sitting volleyball athlete?
Yeah, but that's what it looks like to be me right now.
But tell the people, brag about yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am the current MVP, 2023 World Cup, 2022 World Championships, MVP, best server out of most tournaments.
Two-time Paralympian.
That's
what I was waiting for.
Yeah, did I already say it at the beginning?
No, we haven't said anything about you, right?
Yeah, I'm a two-time Paralympian.
We've both been to the same Paralympics, same journey together, which is exciting, and we will totally get into a lot more as well.
Sport has like become my career.
Yeah.
I recently, I think, had that shift. I'll be in sport forever.
Totally. Some part of your life, whether it's policy making and advocating or talking about it through this podcast, or actually physically playing, I think, until your body doesn't let you anymore.
Until my hips give out. Yeah.
Yeah.
You bet.
I love it. Love to hear it.
Okay. What does it look like to be you?
All right. I'm probably not going to deep dive into my whole childhood and who I am. And my story is probably not as exciting
Let's start with your name.
Let's start with my name.
Yeah.
All right. Heidi's getting right to the good stuff. As I've said, I'm Nicole Ban. No one calls me Nicole. So if you don't know me, you probably call me Nicole. If you know me, you probably have no idea that my name is Nicole. And through sport, it kind of all started when I was playing volleyball at McEwen here in Edmonton. There was another Nicole who is now my best friend. Shout out to Nicole. We also just call her Nick. And I was given a nickname, which is based on my last name by another best friend, which is Banya. And no one really calls me that anymore except for my OG friends. Thank you. But I go by some version of my last name. So Ban, Banny, anything you can think of, which gets a little confusing with my family around and my brother.
From this moment on, I won't be calling you Nicole.
You won't, yeah, right? It probably feels weird. I can continue the intros as Nicole if we'd like, or we can go to Banny T. That's another one of the nicknames.
True.
Banny T and Heidi P. But yeah, that is who I am. But if we go back a little bit to my childhood, I am from Fort McMurray, Alberta. My parents worked very hard there, but are now retired. And so I have not been back for a long time. I had a really good childhood though, played a variety of sports just like Heidi. I was that girl that played hockey with the boys, smaller town. Now I know it's quite a bit bigger, but smaller city when I was growing up, and I was the one in the closet in the back room. There wasn't really a space for me, or as we'd like to say, a seat at the table. I brought my own. I showed up. I continued to play sport. I could list every single school sport that you can imagine, and then got into volleyball actually a little bit later. I think I was late grade 9, grade 10. And I was bad. I was goofy-footed. I was awkward, tall. Where are my feet? Where are my arms? And I think that's what made me love it so much. And you probably would have never thought I would be a coach if you knew me when I was younger. I was pretty impatient. I didn't like to do things wrong. A perfectionist since I was probably born. But once again, I think that's why I love coaching so much. And I loved learning when I was playing volleyball. Obviously, I eventually figured it out, could do my approach. I then played college volleyball here in Edmonton and then university volleyball at Brandon University in Manitoba. I played overseas for a year. And throughout that time, my body kind of started to fail me, not in the same way as para-athletes, but I've had multiple knee surgeries. And then stopped playing. Just essentially could have continued playing a little bit of semi-professional volleyball, but decided to put my body first. And that's when I got into coaching, really seriously, as an assistant coach at McEwen University, and then decided to do my master's in coaching at the University of Alberta and worked with Lori Eisler there, which was incredible, working under a strong female coach and kind of seeing how much she put into that program and how dedicated she was to growing her team and the sport in general across Canada, and then was asked to join sitting volleyball. And that's once again a whole nother story. We'll get there too. Yeah, right? Like in late 2014, it kind of started really in 2015, but it was 2014 when I started, and it was like 7 people on the court, could barely pass the ball. A little messy when I started with sitting volleyball, but fast tracked 9.5 years later. And here we are, having just qualified for our 3rd Paralympics, and me really not knowing anything else but sitting volleyball and being so comfortable with that version of the sport. It's like wild to think of, coming from myself playing indoor volleyball, and now being more comfortable sitting down on the ground and coaching and playing the sport myself. It's like hilarious to think of. But I love it every single day. I have a dream job. I never have to wake up and like think about, I have to go to work. I'm excited. I hate the morning, everybody. So I'm not excited to go to early morning practices, but I'm excited the minute I walk in that door, and see everybody on the team and know that we get to push each other to be the best version of ourselves. So what does it look like to be me every single day? I get to wake up and live the dream. It's exciting. And now starting this podcast, I get to have conversations around something that I'm so passionate about, and hopefully share with the world a little bit more about something that's not discussed as often, I'd say, in mainstream media.
Love it.
That's it. That's me. I mean, there's probably a lot more I don't love talking about myself, but here we are.
But what did you really... This is important. I don't have a great memory. You have a great memory.
I will remember it all. I need to open
my
this.
memory, basically.
It's getting dark here in Edmonton.
The sun is going down.
The sun is setting. It's my favorite time of day. And we're filming episode 1.
Here we go. Power through. But like, how bad were we? Like, let's just talk about what did you actually think when you
oh my goodness.
You walked in the gym, you're like,
well, I like make comments about it now because there obviously was a team before I started. Like there was a bunch of girls that worked very hard.
Started in 2008.
And they could play volleyball. But the group that I came into, and not everyone's on the team now, to get a serve, receive ball to a set to an attack was not always easy. Like that's the truth. You were there, Heidi.
No, not even.
To have your hands down on the ground. Yeah.
Like,
it's not really happening regularly. And so I was like, oh, okay. But I knew nothing else, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, how do I learn this? This is really awkward. Ian Halliday, who's now our high performance director, was the head coach. So I was just joining as a put the ball in play, learn what the sport is, start giving feedback. I mean, I kept wanting to say like, move your feet. Okay, figure it out, girl. You're not telling them to move their feet. So I quickly learned like hands down, like get in a ready position.
I just sat down and like figured it out.
And then I sat down. Exactly. That's the biggest thing. Like take a seat, sit your ass down and learn how to play. We'll get into why we named this podcast Take a Seat. That is not why, but that's one of the reasons.
Part of it.
Yeah, exactly. So I took a seat and I was humbled immediately. And then my eyes were wide open to this new incredible sport and these incredible humans around me that truly have taught me more than I could ever teach them. Facts.
Cute. What if I didn't know you? Like, that would be sad.
We wouldn't be doing this.
Like, we'd still be bad at volleyball.
No way. We'll skip over a little bit about sitting volleyball. We're going to talk about how we found it. All of those details, we'll get into that next episode. But why take a seat? Like, why start a podcast and why name it Take a Seat? Because we did kind of in our teaser on Instagram say that this has been kind of 8 to 9 months coming, almost a year, maybe a little bit longer. We've ordered our mics in June, I think you said, off Amazon. Yeah. And then we're like, oh no, we haven't qualified. We can't do this yet. Like too much pressure. What are people going to think of us?
Yeah.
Is it?
What are we going to talk about?
Are we the right people to be doing this? Should we get other athletes? We just knew it was a conversation we wanted to have. And Heidi and I will often find ourselves, or the Edmonton athletes as well, everybody, the whole team after practices sitting down and just talking about our sport and about different things. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, we were like, podcasts are cool right now. I probably listen to more podcasts than almost anyone I know. So it felt like, okay, let's do something around that space. We don't know if we're going to be doing it quote unquote properly, but
no such thing.
Exactly, right? Like it's a conversation and hopefully we can bring some education into it. Around Heidi living with a disability, me learning how to coach people with a disability. People might be shocked right now I'm using the word disability. But that's the word. Exactly. It's not a bad word. It's a word that's used and being really owned and something to be proud of, especially with the Paralympic and the para sport movement. And my eyes have really been open to that. Yeah. And that's once again a whole nother episode.
I knew you were gonna say that.
But why take a seat, Heidi?
Why take a seat? Well, because in sitting volleyball, you have to. So you have to take a seat
because you have to. That's become our tagline, so and we keep joking about it because you have to, and that's why we've put it in everything.
Correct.
You literally have to have your butt
because you have to
on the ground when you're playing sitting volleyball. So that was definitely one of the reasons, and kind of something we laughed about. What else?
It's like sort of an invitation, like to join us, sit at a table with us, sit on the ground with us, play with us. Like it's.
Well, we want to
sitting when we're conversing, like post practice, blah blah blah. Like
we want to create a safe space.
Same level exactly. Too. Like you sit down and play with us and like coach us at our level. It's kind of like an order, like a command, like take a seat so that we can also like teach you something.
I know I joked like, about
take a
that
seat,
a
like,
bit.
Just sit down.
Like take a seat and either cool down, because sometimes I think around discussions that we're going to have, they're kind of sensitive topics. We want to create a safe space. So like getting down on our level, making eye contact creates a safe space. So having a seat, but also if you're I don't know, you said like the command to take a seat.
Wrong word.
Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not exactly what we want to be doing, but it is. It's like, well, just take a seat. It's kind of funny, kind of a joke, bringing light to something that could be a tougher conversation.
Well, we've talked about like less heard voices, less represented topics, and like those are things that need to be talked about. Broadcasting is one of them. Women in sport, parasport, like in general, the conversations just need to happen.
Yeah,
more and more. And I think we finally were like, we have sort of even a responsibility to do this as people who speak into those spaces with our friends and our families and people we come into contact to. Or just other people have started to say, like, people have said to me, you should start a podcast.
You have a lot to say, and you have a lot of like education behind like policy and things you're learning in school and how it impacts government, and that's where I lack. And I think I just have a lot of passion around supporting everyone with disabilities or athletes on the team, and getting really like passionate once again about like, how do we make things better, and how do we use our voices to how do we use our voices to educate one person or shed light on one thing. And I think that's what this is all about. I had one more thing to say about the take a seat, but I can't remember.
Well, if you don't have a seat, bring a folding chair.
Yeah, exactly.
Soraya Tinker said that. Former hockey player, now analyst.
Now, we just saw that this week on Instagram. Yeah. It's like, make spaces where sometimes you don't belong. So bring your chair if you need to.
Yep. Bring a cushion.
Yeah, like sit down wherever you can. And that's another piece. It's like, we're so comfortable. I will sit in an airport on the floor by myself, and people are looking like, what is this 6'2" girl sit? I'm so comfortable on the floor. Chuck my backpack down, plug my phone in. It's a space where a lot of parasports are played, in a wheelchair, on the floor with no equipment, on a sledge. Like, there's different spaces. I know not all parasports are, so we want to be inclusive here. You do not have to sit if it is not accessible to you. But that's the other piece, is making our podcast as accessible as we can. So we thought Take a Seat could kind of encompass that as well. Honestly, it stuck. It felt right. And it's something we move forward with.
People have already said, great name. We're like, great.
There's like 1 million other podcasts. So here we are trying to own our name and
find it. Well, you already found it. If you're listening, you already found us. But
exactly. Just the timeline on after qualifying. What felt right about this moment? Why take a seat now? The time is now. Our time is now.
We didn't make that.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't make that. It applies. It's kind of like now or never.
Agreed.
Like, it's just now. Like, the time literally is now.
The time was 1 year ago. We weren't just brave enough.
Correct.
But if you're going to do something, do it.
Scared. Do it scared. Do
it uncertain. Which is really not something I embody in a lot of my life. I'm pretty out there. If you've ever seen me coach, this is probably a little bit of I will get very passionate, but a softer side you will see it sometimes. And sharing my voice in an interview, I may come across as really comfortable, but I'm not always. I love what I do. I feel the most alive when I'm coaching. And I hope that through this podcast, I can find my voice as well.
And I feel the most alive when I'm playing. When I'm selling.
Cue to Heidi Selly's here.
Heidi Selly. Cue me literally almost passing out.
Like women in sport and women's sports is like making such big headway and becoming like big in the media, and I love it. I love to see it. I love to support it. And I think that Paralympic sport and parasport in general, the time is now. Like, get ready, Paris 2024. Yeah. We are coming, and I hope every country is doing this. Put your money behind your Paralympic athletes. Step up, show up, put it on TV. Let the world see how incredible Paralympic sport
like if
is.
You build it, the people will come. What I tell people, they're like, do people want to watch parasports? Do people care? I'm like, they do. They just can't. They don't know.
And if you don't know, you are missing out. Period. Like, I am so competitive. I love sport. I don't want to win every volleyball game. I want to win every single point. And I love watching Paralympic sport. I love watching other parasports, but I rarely know what's on. I have to go find it when I'm watching a Canadian team. And I want to be in a world where I can flip through the channel. I can open social media. I think it's coming, but I would love for these games to highlight it.
And the broadcasting is correct, and there's no such thing maybe as like right language, but that it just becomes
like, what are the Paralympics? Like, come on. Yeah. You need to know what that is, and we're going to get into that. But yeah, just understanding a little bit more. And I think that that's it's okay if you don't know. We said that in our trailer. At one point, we didn't know. And so here we are that many years ahead trying to have a conversation. Join us. Sit down.
Join us.
Have a laugh. And that's the other thing, is we're not going to take ourselves like too seriously. This is pretty low-key conversation, but we love to laugh. I know. We love to laugh. We love to be ridiculous. And it's okay to be wrong. Like, how many times have I said things that are either taken the wrong way or like I'm not sure about? Like at first when I joined, like, take your leg off and let's go. Like, that's so normal in our sport. But like, what is that? What is that coach saying? But it's like, you have to take your leg off.
At some point you had to say that, and
Maybe
maybe it was hard.
Yeah, someone's not ready, or I'm like uncomfortable, and now it's like naturally like, let's go. Legs off or on for this one. People will just ask at practice. But yeah, we'll get into it. But asking questions, being curious, being okay with being wrong and being corrected and being humbled, that also ties into the like, take a seat, take a time out, take a breather. Okay, let's have a conversation around what might be difficult. It's obviously your lived experience, Heidi, so you're the expert. And we're really going to be leaning on you.
Great.
And then other experts. We're going to be inviting athletes in that play sitting volleyball from Canada. We've already interviewed Allison Lang, which is coming soon.
Yep.
And we'll be interviewing athletes abroad as well. If you'd like to be on the podcast, hit us up, DM us. We are excited to have you. You want to talk? You want to be heard? Here's a space.
Take a seat. I keep thinking of ways to just like put it in.
Take a seat.
Take
Because you have to.
Sit with us.
Yeah, that was a name we thought of. Sit with us. Yeah,
weird.
didn't land. You want to summarize up what we're
not my strong skills.
Well, no, I just
keys?
meant like what we're going to be talking about. The women, it's listed there. We have some show notes. We just did it. We crushed
I
it.
thought you did it.
I tried, but
Yeah, in summary, we'll be talking about women in sports, sitting volleyball, athlete stories, disability, accessibility, representation, parasport, and the Paralympics. All of those have subtopics and a variety of perspective. But yeah, we just want to educate people, have a conversation, have people ask questions, and hopefully you learn something. Hopefully people learn and are excited and
want to join us.
Yeah.
And if not, well, see you in
We'll
Paris.
still be here.
Well, when we're on the big
Like,
screen.
Too bad you're missing out. Like, next.
We think we're fun. We think it's a great conversation.
Truly thank you everybody for listening to our passin.
Speaking is hard. Try
you
again.
guys, like filming the trailer was like the hardest thing ever. Like
Regularly.
Like
That was
Do
me
we
trying
even
to
know
say
how to speak
regularly, which we then changed to often and didn't turn the camera on. So we didn't have it.
brutal.
We're learning. Just like hopefully you are.
Like I wonder what my heart rate is right now. I've been uncomfortable this whole
You've
time.
been, yeah.
Because this is,
I mean, the sun is going down, so I can barely see you. Sorry.
that's my heart rate.
I feel like it's fine.
Well, 88. It's not bad.
Yeah, we can redo the ending.
Do we have to?
You said
like the
passing.
ending in it.
We'd be passing dimes.
It's a miracle I haven't coughed this whole
It's
time.
true. We didn't even tell you. Heidi is quite sick.
Truly. I kind of sound like normally how I do, like no inflection.
You sound great.
Thanks. But thank you everybody for listening to our passion project. We truly, truly appreciate it.
Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Take a Seat Cast. Follow myself, Nicole, at NicoleBan_, and Heidi at HeidiPeters__. And be sure to check the episode notes for information and links to what we talked about today. Boom.
Boom.
First ep, done. Other hand this time. Still sweaty.
It's still sweaty.